Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. And now, I know what you're wondering, Nick, what is this video? Why are you up at 11? Well, I've been busy, like, the last 2 days, so forgive me. But, today we're doing a very special video, because, in just a few weeks, or really in a few months, in July 11th to be exact, July 11th, 2025, we are getting the brand new, most anticipated superhero film of the year, Superman, directed by James Gunn, and it will be the start of a whole new DC universe. But before we move on to James Gunn's DCU, I think it's best to look back upon the original Superman, the one that started the superhero genre, the one that made superheroes notable, and the one that made DC profitable in what other DC superheroes you can make. So here is my review for Superman 1978. Before we get started with this, let me just start out by saying that I have no recollection of this movie. I didn't grow up with it. This was my first time ever seeing it on film. I remember seeing clips of it, like maybe on TV or something. Of course, back in December, I just watched the Christopher Reeve documentary, and I thought that was fantastic. And especially after watching this film, I can definitely say that movie becomes even better, especially with what he went through and the making of the Superman film. But keep in mind, growing up, I was a Marvel boy. My big heroes growing up were Spider-Man and the Hulk. I have no recollection of Batman or Superman. I didn't grow up with any of those characters, and I never really got into DC until 2018, which that was when my love for Marvel expanded, but that was also when my love for DC started, when I went to go see Aquaman when I went to go see the first Aquaman in theaters. So that was kind of fun. And then but yeah, so I really didn't know anything going into this, and what's also kind of interesting is right before this, I saw the early Superman movies like Superman and the Mole Man, Superman vs. Atom, and Superman 1948. I saw it weeks prior to this during May, but I didn't really review them because they weren't exactly that great to me, and they didn't really seem like eventful films. And I'm not trying to make this a series. I'm really just reviewing things because I want to. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here on this channel, I guess, now. And I kind of went into this because I'm like, older superhero films, I feel like anything before the 2000s or before the 21st century, I just don't really know how it can be great. The only exception I can actually make is Blade, because Blade was extraordinary. It was, this 90s action movie with vampires, and the action was slick, and it was gory, and it was bloody. And to me, that fit, and it worked. But then you got movies like Howard the Duck. You got the Batman Tim Burton films. You had Batman and Robin. You didn't really have a lot of superhero movies back in the day like we do now. And Superman, at least the Superman movies, were the main course for that. So hold up, gotta get a drink. Sorry. But yeah, so I went into this movie not really knowing what to expect, and honestly, I think after watching the film, I can definitely say I understand why this movie is regarded to be the superhero film that kicked off the superhero genre. And if anything, it's the best example of that. And that if you look at your favorite modern day superhero films, like, for example, Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man, especially after watching the film now, you can kind of tell that Spider-Man takes heavy inspiration from Superman 1978. And that's a great film because I love Spider-Man. But what I love about this film it really just starts in the very opening credits of the film, where you get that iconic John Williams score of the Superman theme, and you get these credits that are like, and when I first saw it, I was like, what is this opening? This is weird. This is crazy. This is zany. But in some cases, it like, my eyes and my ears adjusted to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like, the way that the credits are somehow zooming, and even they kind of did a similar thing to this with the James Gunn trailers for Superman. And in some cases, I'm like, so that's what that was homaging to? It's homaging to this? And I'm like, wow, that is just great. And the way they do these credits are just phenomenal. And just showing you all the talented people that worked with this movie. And we can just start getting into our film. First thing I want to talk about with this film is really just the cast. I think to me, it was probably the most impressive thing. Like, of course, you got the world of Krypton, which you don't really get much of in this film. You get the world of Metropolis and all that stuff. And, of course, Kansas, of where Clark Kent grew up. But for me, what was so interesting about the cast in this film is that because this superhero film, what also made it so special was the cast, and that every person besides Superman was a star at the time. Jor-El, Superman's father, was played by the Godfather, Mario Puzo or whatever. I think he was one of them was the writer. Puzo was, I think, the writer, and whoever did the Godfather played Jor-El, Superman's dad. And then you cast all these other people, which you got Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. I don't know who plays Lois Lane. I don't really know who plays Ma or Pa Kent. I don't know who plays all these other characters, but of course the guy that plays Jor-El, fantastic, from The Godfather. And like, it's like you casted this role, like he's not. It's kind of like if anything. I feel like a lot of inspired roles, like I love those manly fathers, you know, like Mufasa with James Earl Jones, or Anthony Hopkins with Odin from Thor, or the guy that plays young T'Chaka in Black Panther. Like, if anything, the Godfather Jor-El kind of seems like the inspiration for all these godly appearances in other superhero films that I think works really nicely. But all the people that play, like the guy that plays Lois, the girl that plays Lois Lane, surprisingly, she's actually very attractive, and her chemistry with Superman is great. I liked Orson Welles, not Orson Welles, Jerry Olsen. Is that what that guy's name? The guy in the Daily Planet, I forgot. The one that's kind of nerdy and is kind of bullied by the main reporter. He was kind of funny. The main reporter guy, the boss of the whole thing, kind of like the J. Jonah Jameson of this whole thing, he was fun. He was fun too, and it's kind of hard to talk about this before we move on to Christopher Reeve's Superman and Clark's journey. But what's so fun about his character is that he's kind of mean to everybody else. Like, he's mean to Orson Welles, or whoever that character's name is. He's pretty confident in Lois Lane, and then he's never really mean to Clark, which I'm like, I kind of like that. Like, that's so funny. And then, of course, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, which R.I.P. to him. What's funny is back when Gene Hackman passed away, and I saw that he was in Superman, I was like, wait, who did he play? And I may have went back to the cast to see who he played, but I guess I didn't see it. And then I saw, oh, wait, he played Lex Luthor, one of the most popular Superman villains. And what's so crazy is, you know, Lex Luthor is known to be bald. He's not really known for being with hair. And then you get in this film, as soon as he's arrested, he takes off the hair cap and he's bald, and it's awesome. I hope he comes back in the sequel. I don't know if he's in the sequel. Comment down below. You could spoil it for me if you want. I don't care. I want to see more Lex Luthor, because the way he played this character was actually really well done. But of course, as Superman, we have to talk about Christopher Reeve as Superman, as Clark Kent, Kal-El. So, obviously, I really want to talk about the story, but we have to talk about the main thing with the Superman and Christopher Reeve's performance. If anything, this is Superman. This feels like Superman. Because, I look at Henry Cavill with what he did with Superman, and I'm like, that's my Superman. He was great as Superman. He is the modern era of Superman that can take down bad guys and destroy people if he wanted to. But that's the key thing. That's what makes Superman so special, is that he has all of these fantastical powers with laser eyes, superheat, and freeze breath. He has super strength. He can fly. He has a gorgeous red cape. He has, an S that stands for hope on his chest. He has all these incredible powers and things he can do. And you think the thing he'll do with those powers is to wreak havoc across the world. And that's kind of what we saw with Henry Cavill's version. But with Christopher Reeve's version, that's not what he does. Matter of fact, in this film, Superman doesn't use his laser eyes. He doesn't even use freeze breath. He doesn't even use superheat. Or the only source of power that he uses, he doesn't even punch someone. The only thing that he does in this movie, he flies and he saves people. He saves cats out of trees. He stops a missile. He turns back time. He saves Lois Lane twice. He saves a helicopter from falling after it was caught on a hook. Like, this man is doing heroic things, and you don't need to fight. You don't even need to punch bad guys or, brutally beat people up to show that you are the hero. That's what's so brilliant about this. But also, what makes this one so even more special is that he was able to, portray this source of kindness. And really, every single scene of him with, just showing kindness and, just loveliness was pure movie magic to me. They didn't show this in the movie on Max when I watched it, but I remember watching the scene of him saving the cat out of the tree, and, I guess there's an extended cut of this film. I don't know. I don't really know the history of it, but essentially, there's an extended cut where after he gets the cat out of the tree and he hands it to the little girl, he's like, I always tell the cat, don't do this. And I'm like, hey, don't be too hard on Frisky, okay? Sometimes everybody can be a little bit scared now and then. And that's the beauty of it. We are all scared. And even sometimes Superman, the bravest and most powerful heroes of all, can even be scared. And that's what's so gorgeous. That's what's so great about it. And even even going back to what I said with Lois Lane and his interactions with Clark Kent or Superman, their chemistry was fantastic. Excuse me, gotta take another drink. And So yeah, and their chemistry with one another is absolutely fantastic, and the whole interview scene would you can kind of tell she's kind of falling for Superman, and especially it even works best in the way she's dressed and the way her hair looks. It's almost the dialogue that she's saying to him. It's really lovely stuff. And you can just tell the chemistry for them is real. And even, the flying scene is pretty great. It's movie magic. And so, yeah, really just, the way they did the cast and the way they did the chemistry between the characters. And you can tell love interest, superhero, awesome. I guess we'll move on to the story. So I kind of went into this knowing the story, as everybody should know the story of Superman, that he is a alien life form from the planet Krypton, and his parents sent him down to Earth because Krypton was going to be exploded. Otherwise, if the baby was left on Krypton, he would have been exploded too. Um, so And now the thing is, they didn't really want to send him to Earth because Earthlings are basically way behind Kryptons than uh excuse me for a minute. All right, I'm back. So yeah, there are millions of lives behind them. But he's more powerful than everyone else, so I think it'll be totally fine. But he'll be able to adapt. And keeping that secret life. A lot of this plot reminded me a lot of Hercules. So it's like the origin stuff of what he did with Superman reminded me a lot of Spider-Man, which is a film I saw way before this. And then now it reminds me of Disney's Hercules, which I saw way before this, but both those films came out way after Superman came out. So it's kind of weird, even though, like, I think Superman is a way better film than Hercules. Spider-Man, I still think is better. I'm just gonna put it at that because Spider-Man I've grown up with longer. I've seen more. But with so yeah, it reminded me of the story of him crashing down to Earth, and you know him kind of starting out losing he leaves his parents to go to do something bigger, and then he basically becomes the hero that he is inevitable to become, and you realize what he was destined for. And all that reminds me of Hercules. Hercules left his parents to try to do something greater. He gets a mentor. Well, Superman doesn't get a mentor, but well, actually, his father is his mentor. So, because he was training with his father to become this hero, Hercules does the same thing. He breaks the muscles. He gets the girl, and then he does this great thing to become the hero and risks his life. So yeah, that's all pretty much great founded. To talk about the world and stuff, I think the sets in here and the different worlds that we get to explore are very interesting. The world of Krypton, I do think it's a little bit odd that everybody praises that in the film. I guess like because it's like all practical, it's a real set. And I guess that's the point of it all. And it's almost like that because now Krypton and there's one last Kryptonian left in the world that basically like you left basically the Fortress of Solitude can basically appear anywhere in ice. That's basically what like I'm opposing to thinking. But so yeah, that checks out. Um Obviously I really liked the way they do Metropolis. It has like this New York feel, but it feels very distinct, and even just like the little like places here and there, whether it's like in the streets, in the alleyway, up in the Daily Planet, all those little things. I hope in the sequel we get more of it. I'm not quite sure yet though. And then I guess we could talk about the supervillain plot and the major superheroics of it all. Um, Basically, the supervillain hero stop thing we need to do is Lex Luthor, essentially, is so obsessed with like machines and buildings and land. He wants to do all this stuff, and once Superman comes on the horizon, he basically wants to destroy half of California and this other place to make Lex Luthor land. Essentially, it's a very cartoony plot, if I'm gonna be honest, but it works well enough to where it causes the stakes of who's gonna live and how is he gonna be able to stop two missiles going off at once. And what makes it even worse is they have the kryptonite necklace, where now that Superman, because of that interview with Lois Lane and Superman, and Lex Luthor has seen that, he's now seen of what Superman's weaknesses are. That bullets and fire can't kill him, but he can't see through lead, and those crystals from Krypton can kill him. Kryptonite. And I feel like the kryptonite stuff might lead one of my issues in the film. If I'm being honest, most of my issues will probably just be just nitpicks. And I think the kryptonite necklace is probably the most, like, the fact that, and honestly, this is probably a problem for a lot of Superman fans. The fact that it's like this green thing that can weaken Superman, but it can't really kill him unless you make some sort of weapon out of that can literally stab him or chop his head off. Like, it's a little weird that, like, all of a sudden it can kill him. Because, like, before he ever became Superman, before he found the Fortress of Solitude, like, he was holding the piece of the kryptonite and it didn't do nothing to him. But now that he's become Superman, it, like, can hurt him now. It can weaken him. Like, they never really established the logistics of that. But anyway, going back to the final battle where he has to stop the missiles, I really love this sequence to where it's like you're on the edge of your seat, because how in the hell is he going to stop these missiles? And one of the interesting things about this is he stops one of the missiles, but the other missile actually goes off. And he does, granted, he does make it in time to to save everybody before the rubble gets piled up on them. And we'll be talking about something else before we move on to my cons. And he's able to save everyone from that second missile, except for one, his loved one, Lois Lane. And you see she's in the car, all piled up in dirt. And this scene right here, like when you get Superman and he's like, and he's ripping out off the car door, and he's like devastated that like he couldn't, like, he's got all these powers, all this stuff, and he couldn't even save Lois. Much like how he did with his father when he died from a heart attack. And this might be the best, like, acting from Christopher Reeve in this film, where he's just heartbroken. Like, he lost his father, now he lost the girl he loved, and that powerful scream, and he just starts zooming. And you get this, like, amazing, like, special effect that is so powerful to where he's flying around the earth and turning back time. And I'm like, oh, that is awesome. Yeah. He's turning back time, and like the special effect as he's zooming and the tears going across his face, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah. And it's like, and you kind of, especially with how many movies have done time travel nowadays, it's almost like, so is he not going to have like consequences for this in the sequel? Like, Is it just going to go about that? Because I would hate that if that doesn't have consequences. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Another thing I want to talk about before we move on to the cons is I love the way they do the montages. Of course, that starts out really in the first like few minutes with the credits, which does a great job of, and that's something else that the film does really well. Is it takes its time developing the characters, getting to know things. That does struggle a little bit because I feel like that they kind of rushed through when Clark Kent arrived to the Fortress of Solitude. He gets the Superman powers, and then we just go straight into the Daily Planet. We go straight into Metropolis, and we're just kind of rushed in there. And I'm like, why didn't we do that same development that we did with Superman and Clark and Krypton, the way we can do that with Metropolis? I would have loved to do that, but they didn't do it. So that's one con, but I love, like, even the montage of Superman saving people, like, not just saving Lois Lane, but he's saving cats out of trees, he's stopping robbers that are stealing money, or trying to break into somewhere. Like, all of this stuff is just really fun and cool. So, I think that really leads into my negatives, and really, it's the special effects. Now, I did mention that one special effect when he's turning back time. It's awesome, but honestly, that's like the only cool special effect in the film. Every single thing, like, it's both good and bad, because on the one side, it's kind of goofy looking, and, you know, everybody kind of complains for nowadays that superhero movies are too goofy, they're kind of weird and goofy. You go back to Superman, which was the template for making great superhero films. That movie was actually kind of goofy itself. And yeah, it's dated, but at the same time, it kind of has a nice feel to it, and it's a classic feel. Like, you know, the three Kryptons getting trapped in the Phantom Zone, or Superman using his cape to travel into the ground. Like, all that stuff was kind of cool to me. But yeah, so really the only flaw I have with this movie is the special effects, but honestly, I think this movie's pretty much great. I don't really have any issues. I think this might be the best Superman movie that I've ever seen, and yeah, I just think that this movie is awesome on all levels. So, that's going to be my review for Superman 1978. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.